It's so fast. It's such a powerfully quick process.
The results were just short of phenomenal.
I kept getting feedback from my clients saying that it worked on them over and over again.
What's interesting about EFT is that it is a process which really in some sense engages like super learning.
EFT releases people from the chains that keep them bound to a mediocre life.
This may be the most important new therapy to arrive in both medicine and psychology for a century.
EFT should be tried for everything. It's an amazing resource tool, and it should be in everyone's first aid kit.
So I think we've got to take a look at who we are and what we've got and how we function, and then begin to apply this information in a practical manner to improve the quality of our life.
Hi, this is Jessica Ortner, the host of the 2009, 10, 11, and soon to be 2012 Tapping World Summit. If you were one of the 300,000 people who participated last year, then you would have enjoyed our pre-event videos. We had Bruce Lipton, a cellular biologist, Cheryl Richardson, a New York Times bestseller, and Jack Canfield, author of Chicken Soup for the Soul and known as America's Success Coach. Well, this year we are at it again with some amazing pre-event videos. And we are starting today by interviewing one of the leading voices in the tapping field. And he also happens to be my older brother. Nick Ortner is the producer of the documentary film about tapping, The Tapping Solution. He's the producer of these events, and his new book, published by Hay House, is coming out in 2013, where he really dives into the science behind tapping and shares some incredible stories behind the scenes from the film, as well as from his private practice. Well, today we are going to get a sneak peek into his wisdom and insights by learning what happens in the brain when we stimulate these points. You'll learn how you can literally rewire your brain. So to get started, we are in front of his house. Let's go in and ask him a few questions. Hi everyone, I am here with my brother Nick Ortner. Hi Nick.
Hi Jess, how are you?
Good, thanks. Now I know that we talk all the time, but I'm excited to share new information with the audience. I'm still in shock that it's been a year since the last Tapping World Summit, where we had 300,000 people participate. And what's been so amazing about this past year is the science that is coming out about why tapping works and what tapping does to the brain. Because we know that it works, we've seen the results, but it's great to see the science.
Yeah.
So you have been, really helping push this movement, and so I'm excited to hear more from you. But before I dive into the questions, you spoke to 2,000 people at this incredible event run by Hay House. And let's watch a quick clip, and then I want to ask you a few questions about that. How's that sound?
Great, let's take a look.
All right, let's take a look.
For a long time, the discussion about tapping was about the meridians and the energy system, and there's a lot to that, but now we have some new scientific definitions that are showing exactly what's going on. So a couple of months ago, I was working with a client, and we'll call her Susan for the sake of this discussion, and she came to me and said, I want to change my financial experience. I know I had those limiting beliefs. She was a massage therapist, and she had some clients, but barely making ends meet. She actually wanted to be an EFT practitioner and have more clients and grow her business, and she was struggling. She said, I'm tired of struggling every week just to pay the bills, and I feel like I'm doing everything I'm supposed to, but it's not working. So I said, we can absolutely tap on that. We can tap on the limiting beliefs, the emotional patterns, the negative experiences. So we started talking, and she shared with me her experiences, and we started talking about her childhood, and I felt some emotion come up from her. And she shared with me that her childhood had been a really rough one, that when she was growing up, her mother was an alcoholic, and that was a very, very difficult experience. One story, so I could feel the emotion coming up, and I said, you know what, let's spend a little time here. We'll get to all the financial stuff, but let's spend a little time right now because I can feel the emotion coming up in you. And I said, do you want to go there? Is this something you want to explore? And she said, yes, I do. So she told me one particular story that stood out for her about a time when her mother tried to kill herself. And she was 7 or 8 years old. She walked into the bathroom and saw her father helping her mother stop the bleeding. And fortunately, her mother lived through that. Everything was okay. But you can only imagine as a 7 or 8 year old the impact that had on her life. So we're talking about it, and I'm seeing how emotional she's getting and the process she's going through, right? Now, we'll put a pause button on that session, okay? So we're talking about it, and we start doing the tapping. I tell her to start tapping. So let's pause. Now it's science lesson time over here, okay? So she's in it, right? In the past, what do? We talk about things. We share it. We go to a psychologist or a psychiatrist or a friend or a relative, and we just talk it out. And what are we doing? Sometimes we're getting, we're venting, we're feeling better, but more often than not, we're re-ingraining those same negative patterns. And that's why Hay House's work and Louise's work is so incredible to try to put new patterns into place. The difference, what would happen in that session is, as we do the tapping, she's in a fight or flight experience, okay? She's thinking about the negative experience. She's thinking about what happened when she was 7. Her body is freaking out, okay? We do the tapping, and science now shows that we send a calming signal to the amygdala in the brain. Okay, the fight or flight response is a primitive response. It's actually very helpful. In our ancient days, if there's a tiger in the bushes, you wanted to be ready to, fight it or flee it. So that was a positive response. The problem is, in this day and age, we have these fight or flight responses over so many things. So a boss sends you an email that upsets you, and you just feel your body going, right? You look at your body in the mirror, and you think, I'm fat, and there we go again, fight or flight. And on top of that, that increases cortisol levels, now you get even fatter. Okay? Thanks for that, You think about the financial situation, and your body's entering into that fight or flight. And we have enough of those experiences, and we stack up both childhood experiences, things that you think you've let go of, but oftentimes we haven't, and then you stack out the stress of daily living, the overwhelm, and that's where you get sick, you get tired, you get overwhelmed, you're frustrated. What the tapping does, and now we go back to the session, so she's telling me the story, and we're doing the tapping, and we're telling the body it's safe. And we're telling the body, through the tapping process, that experience can heal, that we can process it through the body. One of the questions I get a lot with this audience and these kind of audiences, when we're very focused on the positive, which is absolutely amazing, is, well, why are we looking at that old stuff? It's in the past. And there are some things that are in the past that we've healed and moved through, but there are other things that still get to us. If you think back to something that happened in elementary school, middle school, high school, and if there's any bit of twinge, if there's an emotion there, if there's anger, if you can't forgive, it means it hasn't processed through the body. It means at some level that fight or flight response is activated, and we do the tapping to heal that fight or flight response. What was really interesting, we went through the session, and she had a great result, and she felt very calm, and she sent me an email about a week later where she shared, I felt at peace with my body. I just felt a peace that I haven't felt in 30 years. And I think about my mother, and I have so much loving feelings towards her, and that was really exciting. What was really interesting is that she said to me, and you know what? We didn't work on finances at all, but I picked up 3 new clients the last week. I got my business cards down. I did my website. Someone asked me to speak. All of these things opened up for her with regards to her business because she finally felt safe in her body. She felt safe going out into the world. Okay? So that's just one.
And we are back, Nick. That was a fantastic clip. So the story was so moving, and the science so enlightening. Let's focus on the science first. Can you tell us a little bit more about it?
Well, absolutely. One of the things I mentioned in that clip was the fight or flight response, the stress response. Now, I think we take stress for granted in this day and age. It's like we're stressed. That's just the way it is. That's the way our body's operating. We're overwhelmed. We're stressed. We don't really know why. We know it's because of work, this, that, and the other. But we haven't looked at really what the stress is doing to the body, what the stress is doing to the rest of our lives. And one of the things that happens with that fight or flight response is that it's activated all the time. And sometimes people get a sense for that when they take a deep breath or when they do the tapping and they feel a deep relaxation in their body. And it's only when that happens that they realize the contrast of how uptight they were before, right? If a muscle was tensed the whole time, and you don't even notice it's tense until you finally let it go, and then you go, my gosh, that muscle was so tense. So that's what's happening. The fight or flight response, because of all these little things, whether it be work or stress or the limiting beliefs we have about our body and our lives, it keeps it activated all the time. And when we do the tapping, we release that stress response. We reduce that inflammation in the body, that fight or flight that's going on all the time.
So Nick, in the clip, Susan came to you because she was having trouble with her finances, and you began working with her on something that really wasn't related or didn't seem to be related to her finances. Does this happen often?
All the time. And I think a lot of times when we have something that we really want to focus on, so it's finances or it's weight loss or relationships, we tend to be sort of narrow focused and we just zone in on that and are oblivious to everything else in our lives. Our lives are full. They're connected. So what happened with Susan is those childhood experiences of not feeling safe, of not wanting to stand out in the world, were holding her back financially. So same thing happens with weight loss. A lot of times I'll see women who are scared to lose weight because they don't feel safe at that thinner weight. They don't feel safe in their body looking thinner. Maybe something happened in high school. Someone called them fat, or maybe they were skinny and someone said, oh, you're so skinny. Now they said, well, it's not safe to be skinny, so they pack on the pounds and hold on to them. So a lot of times we can look at the different areas, we can look in the past, we can look at the present, and that's when we get the most results.
All right, Nick, I can imagine that there are a lot of people watching this going, I need to learn how to do this tapping. So let's go to a clip now where you explain how to tap, and then we'll come back and I have a few more questions for you.
Sounds good.
Varied, and I think the best thing that we can do right now is to have an experience with it. So, are you ready? Yeah. Okay. So, we only have a few minutes. Usually what I like to do is spend, half an hour working through an issue. What I want you to do right now is to feel a shift in your body or what you're working on. And to me, that's what's most exciting, because if we can move something in a couple of minutes, then just extend that out to the rest of your life, okay? So, the easiest way to have a quick experience is to tune into something in your body. If you have physical pain right now, that's a great thing to work on. It works so quickly on physical pain. In the documentary, The Tapping Solution, we show Jody, who had fibromyalgia for 15 years, gone in 2 days. John, with 30 years of chronic back pain, 30 years chronic back pain, 4 surgeries, gone by the second morning, and hasn't come back in 3 years. So pain, if you're in pain, please look at this. So feel into your body and feel for some pain. If you don't feel pain, you can feel for stiffness or soreness or something like that. Or you can also go for an emotional issue. If something's really bothering you right now, if you're angry about something. I mean, it's, with this crowd and this afternoon and all these great speakers, it's tough to be too upset about things. But if something's creeping in, think about that. Something happened last week. When you think about it, you go, yeah, I'm pretty angry about this, or this is really getting to me. Pick an issue. That's step one. And then give it a number on a 0 to 10 scale. Okay? 10 being, let's say it was pain. This is extremely painful. Okay? If it's sort of painful, it's a 7. If it barely hurts, it's a 2 or 3. But try to pick something that's up there. It's an arbitrary number. One of the reasons we picked the number is that, and I was talking to Cheryl Richardson about this earlier today, is that because she knows a lot about tapping, she works with a lot of people with it. Sometimes the shift is so profound that we have that if we don't give it a number, people just forget. It's actually, there's a name for it. It's called the apex effect, where we just go, oh, we let go of that and we move on with our lives. And I'm like, but the tapping did it, right? So give it a number. So everyone have an issue and a number? Okay. Now, for the sake of doing it all together, because we all have different issues, I'm going to use very general language. If you look into this in the future, you'll use specific language on your issue, okay? So we're going to do a little Simon Says, follow the leader, so just follow me. We're going to start tapping on the side of the hand. Either hand, whatever feels most comfortable, okay? And just repeat after me. Even though I have this stress in my body, this is when it turns into a cult, that like that. So somebody walks in off the street now, they're like, oh boy, What can I say? It works. So I deeply and completely accept myself. Even though I have this stress in my body, I deeply and completely accept myself. And one more time, third time around, this is such an easy crowd to say I deeply and completely accept myself with. I work with some people, it's like, oh boy, this is going to be tough. But you guys are ready for it. One more time. Even though I have this pain or stress in my body, I deeply and completely accept myself. Now moving through the points. The first point is the eyebrow point. So it's on the inside of the eyebrow, right where the hair ends and meets the nose. You can do one side, you can do the other side, or you can do both sides. And just tap gently 5 to 7 times. Don't have to get it perfect. I know someone out there's going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You know, just go with it and just repeat the stress in my body. The next point is the side of the eye, either side or both, not at the temple, not at the eyeball, right on the side of the eye. The stress in my body. Under the eye, right on the bone, all this pain in my body. Under the nose, all this stress in my body. Under the mouth, right in the chin, it's a little crease in there, above the chin, below the lip, all this pain in my body. For the collarbone point, if you feel for the two little bones of the collarbone, and you go down an inch and out to each side. I like to tap with both hands. And if I tap, I'm going to tap my microphone. So all this stress in my body. 2 more points left. Under the arm, it's right on the bra line for women, either side, about 3 inches underneath the armpit for men. All the stress in my body. And now at the top of the head, right at the top, all the stress. Okay, so that's 1 round. Now you look like monkeys. Now you look like monkeys. I got to tell you this quickly. When I first taught this to my sister years and years ago, she was convinced I was playing a practical joke on her. And when we got to that point, and she had good reason to, because I have done a lot of practical, so, but that point was the one that did it for her. Okay, so let's do another round just so you feel it again. So back to the eyebrow. All the stress in my body. Side of the eye, releasing it now. Under the eye, releasing the stress in my body now. Under the nose, letting it go. Under the mouth, releasing the stress and overwhelm. Collarbone, letting it go. Under the arm, it's time to let it go. Top of the head, it's time to let it go. And now a deep breath. And we let it go. So after a round, we look for 2 things. 1, what happened to what we were working on? How did it shift? I see a good yawn there. I know you're not bored. That's good. You know, I won't be offended by the yawns. You know, it's a nice release of energy. So check in with that initial number and say, okay, what happened? Did the pain shift? Did the anger go down? Who had a shift? Who felt something move? There we go. So look around and you can get an idea for the amount of people that had a shift in 3.5 minutes of doing the tapping. All right? So now we look and you see where the number is. Okay. The other thing to look for in that first round is what else came up. So many times, especially let's say with pain in the body, you'll be tapping on the back pain, and all of a sudden someone starts thinking about the stress at work or the anger they have about somebody, and it's not until you address that issue that the back pain goes away. So let's do 1 more round so you can feel a further shift, and we're going to stick with the same issue, unless your issue's gone completely and you want to move on to the next issue, okay? So pick the issue again, give it a number, and let's go 1 more round, okay? Tapping on the side of the hand. Even though I still have some stress in my body, I deeply and completely accept myself. Even though I'm still a little overwhelmed, I've got so much stress in my life, and I'm carrying it in my body, I choose to release it now. Even though I'm still a little overwhelmed, still carrying a little tension in my body, I choose to feel safe now. So now through the points. The eyebrow point, this tension in my body. Side of the eye, this stress in my body. Under the eye, all the stress in my body. Under the nose, all the stress and tension. Under the mouth, it's time to let it go. Collarbone, I choose to let it go. Under the arm, letting it all go. Releasing the stress and tension. So we take a deep breath, and we let it go. And now you check in again. What happened? Did it shift? Did it go up? Did it go down? Did something else come up? And you proceed through that process. Who had another shift through that? Anyone else have further shift? Okay, so about the same number of people. So that is the basics of a technique that takes 5 to 10 minutes to learn.
And we are back. That was a really great clip.
You know, it's really fun watching 2,000 people tap all together, all synchronized in the audience.
Yeah, absolutely. And now that we know how to tap and what I want to know more is the different ways that we can tap, and also where do we start if we're beginning?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, that was a short clip. That was 5 to 7 minutes, just an experience. And most people who, if they did the tapping, probably felt a shift in their body. But that's just the start. The next best step is when you register for the Tapping World Summit, there's actually 2 audio presentations, one with Carol Look and one with David Feinstein. Carol Look goes into detail on the tapping, more of the history behind it, more of the story of how it works, how to use it, and you can get a real deeper experience of it. And then David Feinstein will talk a little bit about the latest science and research. You know, the best place to start is to pick what I call the most pressing issue, MPI. Now, we can tap on physical pain if that's what's bothering us. If you have pain in your back, you know it's bothering you. It works so well on pain. Try it right now. Give it 10, 15 minutes, and you'll likely feel a shift with that pain. You and I have seen it again and again, not just on massive things like fibromyalgia, 30 years of chronic back pain. It's really amazing for pain. If you want to lose weight, if that's your most pressing issue, if that's what stresses you out most, focus on that. Focus on the emotional journey of that. Focus on the stress you feel about that. A lot of people ask, well, how am I going to lose weight with the tapping? We're dealing with the emotions behind it. We're dealing with the stress. We know scientifically that cortisol, when we're stressed out, increase in cortisol, which makes us hold on to weight, especially around the belly area. So if you have some belly fat you want to get rid of, got to bring the stress levels down. You know, it's a recurring cycle. It's like we're stressed about the weight, and then we put on more weight, and then we're more stressed about the weight. So bringing down that stress. For relationships, whether you're looking to find someone, where you're single and you want to find your soulmate, it's great to do the tapping on a lot of the baggage that we have from the past, you know, those old relationships that we keep bringing into the new relationship. So clearing that out can make a big difference. And if you're in an existing relationship, you can tap on the stuff that's built up along the way too. You know, some people have been together for 20 years and it's a long time, and if we hold on to that stuff, it kind of stacks on top of each other. Now people are resentful or don't have the level of intimacy that they once had or excitement, so we can use the tapping for that. And the financial journey, you know, the stress about money, about bills. Again, we reduce the stress, we become more creative, we see other solutions, we find other answers. The tapping doesn't make money appear out of nowhere. It's not like, oh, we're going to do tapping and now you're going to make money. We're going to do tapping and you're going to reduce stress, be more creative, find other opportunities, and then everything shifts.
All right, well, one big final question. How excited are you for the 2012 Tapping World Summit?
I'm very excited. The lineup this year is amazing. The topics are really diverse. One thing to mention is that we cover so many different things, and a lot of people will go only to the topic that they're focused on. But some of the best results I've seen is when someone taps on something else that they didn't think was an issue, and then see the results in the other issue. Just like we talked with Susan in the finances, where we tapped on her childhood stuff and our finances got better. So if finance is your big issue, great focus on that, but tune into the limiting beliefs day, tune into the childhood day, tune into the body day. You know, we might have some pain and illness that's really holding us back from doing better financially. So the deeper you go into the summit, the better results you're going to see.
Well, that's a great tip. Well, Nick, thank you so much.
Jess, it's a pleasure.